Good evening, my name is Cameron Christian. Thanks everyone for coming. Who wouldn't want to come see Guy Kawasaki speak? Certainly a man that needs no introduction. Mr. Kawasaki is the co-founder of alltop.com, an online magazine rack for popular topics on the web, and the founding partner of Garage Technology Ventures, a successful early-stage VC fund. Previously, and probably most famously, he was chief evangelist at Apple, where he evangelized Macintosh to the development community and led the charge against the worldwide domination by IBM. He's the author of 10 books, including Reality Check, The Art of the Start, Rules for Revolutionaries, How to Drive Your Competition Crazy, and The Macintosh Way. Guy earned a BA from Stanford, an MBA from UCLA, and an honorary doctorate from Babson College. Just over a year ago, I had the opportunity to hear Guy speak at a conference in Phoenix, summarizing his recent book, Enchantment, The Art of Changing Hearts, Minds, and Actions. I was riveted to my seat along with about 900 other people. Clearly one of the most engaging speakers alive today. Before we get underway, Guy does have a hard stop tonight after his presentation in order to make a flight, so thank you in advance for allowing him to make a quick exit. Without further delay, Mr. Guy Kawasaki.
Thank you. Well, that's a good start. Geez, thank you very much. Before I begin, somehow between the time that I set up and the time I did the signing, we lost power here. So there's no power connected to this laptop, which could be a problem. So, did somebody take the power supply?
Yeah, he's coming.
That's funny. I have to say this is the best facility I've ever spoken in, assuming that the power supply. What happened? Somebody from USC came down here and okay. See, if this were a Windows machine, we'd have to wait 20 minutes for something to happen. So I am going to talk to you tonight about social media, Google+, getting more followers, self-publishing, evangelism, Apple, Motorola, Android, whatever you want, actually. I have seldom been in a building that's this beautiful, this well configured, and with this fast access. So during the setup, I clocked the internet speed here, and it's 100 megabits up and down. And so I'm thinking of moving here. But in this building, not San Diego in general necessarily, but I want to move in this building. So a little bit about my background. I worked for Apple twice in my life. From 83 to 87, I was Apple's software evangelist, so my job was to convince people to write Macintosh software. This meant I worked in the Macintosh division, which meant I worked for Steve Jobs, which, to use the word very loosely, it was a very interesting experience. Working for Steve was not easy. He was a very demanding person, very perfectionist, difficult, and yet I think he got the best results possible out of me and many of the other people in the Mac division. A little bit of the history. So the Mac division is probably the largest collection of egomaniacs in the history of California. Believe me, that's saying a lot. We held that record for, I think, 30 years. Facebook recently broke it, but we held the record for most egomaniacs in a company. Back then, the company had two divisions, Apple II, which was making all the money because it was shipping, and Macintosh, which was spending all the money because it was in R&D. And so if you looked at the Apple P&L, the P was Apple II and the L was Macintosh. But just to show you what bad people we were, we would not let Apple II division employees into our building. So if you can imagine working for one part of Qualcomm but not being allowed into another part of Qualcomm, That's what it was like. And then the people at the Apple II division, after a while, they figured out that they were not being allowed into the building that they had paid for. And so, as you can imagine, that upset them a little, so they came up with this great joke about us, which is, how many Macintosh division employees does it take to screw in a light bulb? And the answer is one. The Macintosh division employee holds up the light bulb and expects the universe to revolve around him. There is a Windows version of this joke, of course. The Windows version is, how many Microsoft employees does it take to screw in a light bulb? And the answer to that is none, because Bill Gates has declared darkness the new standard. After I worked for Apple, I started some Mac software companies. I became a writer, speaker, and investor. Right now, I'm primarily a writer and a speaker, and I'm also a special advisor to the CEO of Motorola. So I have my hands now in mobile devices. The slide that you see there, this is my 12th book. It's called APE. It stands for Author, Publisher, Entrepreneur. And I won't go into the author and publisher part. That's the writing and production of a book. But I will go into the entrepreneur part, because the entrepreneur part is about how to build a marketing platform. And I believe that how to build a marketing platform is applicable to just about any business today. So whether you are an author, or a software company, or a hardware company, or a chip company, or a services company, it just cannot hurt to have a marketing platform. I'll tell you, in social media, many experts say that it's not how many followers and fans and likes you have, it's the quality of those people, it's the level of interaction. And I will tell you that that's total bullshit. There are only two kinds of people in social media: those people who want more followers and those people who are lying. So everybody wants more followers. The more followers you get, the more powerful the platform. The more powerful the platform, the more useful social media is. So I am going to provide a presentation about how to get more followers, how to make social media more powerful. And then I will be happy to do Q&A. I enjoy Q&A. So I'm going to rip through a PowerPoint presentation. I use a top 10 format. That's because, well, frankly, I've been watching high-tech speakers for about 30 years, and I noticed two things about high-tech speakers. First, they suck. And second, they go long. And that's a deadly combination. If you suck and you're short, it's okay. And if you're great and you go long, it's okay. But if you suck and go long, that's like being stupid and arrogant. It's just a bad combination. So what I do is I use a top 10 format so that in case you think I suck, you know approximately how much longer I'll suck. I have 10 points. And then after the 10 points, I'm going to do a really in-depth demo of Google Plus as an example of how to use social media. How many of you are on Google Plus already? Okay, it's good. Wow, that will warm Google's heart. How many of you are on Facebook? How many are on Twitter? There's a very connected audience. So more people are on Google Plus in this audience than Twitter? Wow, this is just my kind of town. Okay, so step one is I'm going to talk about the concepts, the conceptual framework of getting more followers, okay? So, number one is lots of people, lots of brands, lots of companies, they think that social media is something you can just turn on and instantly you get a lot of followers and it becomes very useful. And I'll tell you that it's probably a 6, 9, maybe even 12-month process. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're thinking that you're going to need a marketing platform, a social media platform, the moment you start writing your book, the moment you start writing your software, because we know your software will be late, the moment you start designing your hardware, that's the day to begin getting your followers on social media. It is a 9 to 12-month process, and you just cannot start this too soon. So that's recommendation number one. Recommendation number two is that you segment the services. There are roughly 5 services to pick from in social media. And I have found a P word to describe each and every one of them. So Facebook is about people. These are people that you went to high school with, people that you went to college with, people that you slept with. So these are all the people that you know. These are pre-existing relationships. Some of them may be 10, 20 years old. And it is for connecting with people, your relatives, your classmates, your colleagues. By contrast, Twitter is for perceptions, 140 characters. The traffic on Highway 5 is horrible. My cat rolled over. The line at Starbucks is long. The UCSD campus has great Wi-Fi connectivity. It's for perceptions like that. Little blasts of snippets of news. The P word for Google Plus is passions. So for Google Plus, it may not have as many people on it as Facebook, but these people probably share passions with you that you cannot find on Facebook. So I'll use myself as an example. I happen to love photography. But the people that I went to high school with and college with and my relatives are not into photography anywhere close to what I am. So I have found that I went to Google Plus and I searched for photographers and photography, and I found a vast, deep, totally involved, totally passionate photography community. So rather than trying to drag the people of Facebook that I already knew into a new passion, photography, I went to Google Plus and found people already interested in photography and befriended them. So the scenario is quite different. You go to Google Plus, you type in adoption, you type in knitting, you type in hockey, you type in photography, and you will find people who share your passion that you don't already know. Very different from going to Facebook, where you're trying to see if any of the people you already know share your passion for hockey like you do. I think that Google Plus is ideal for finding new people to share your passions with. The P for Pinterest is all about pinning pictures. It is about primping. It is about cool shoes, cool food, cool cars, cool designs. It's a picture-based social media service. And finally, LinkedIn. God bless LinkedIn. It is about pimping. The reason you use LinkedIn, let's face it, is to pimp yourself. You want to find a new job, right? Or you want to find somebody who knows somebody who can get you into a CXO level person at Qualcomm. So you're looking for connections. You're looking to do business development. You're looking to do sales. You're looking for a new job. It is about pimping. It is a great, great way to do pimping, but it is pimping. So the way to approach these 5 things is, if you want to connect with the people you already know, go to Facebook. You want to just tweet out perceptions of what's happening to you? Twitter. You want to find people who share your passions? Google+. You want to find pretty pictures and pin it up for other people? Very little interaction? Pinterest. And finally, if you want to find a job or you want to find biz dev, LinkedIn. The 5 Ps of social media. Number 3, you need to make a great profile. This is the first step of social media, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google+, whatever it is. Your profile should be very beautiful. This is an example of what I consider a beautiful profile. This is a woman named Peg Fitzpatrick. So first, let's look at her face there. That's an avatar. The key to an avatar is that it is mostly your face. It is not your face and your dog, or your kids, or your car, or your surfboard, or your skateboard. The purpose of the avatar is to show that you are a likable, trustworthy, and competent person. That's it. It's about your face. My recommendation is that it fills up most of the space, and it is also off-center, not dead smack in the middle. I think off-center, the photography rule is the rule of thirds, where you draw 3 lines in a space this way, and then the eyes should be at the intersection on the thirds, not smack dab in the middle. So this is a good example of an off-center avatar that portrays Peggy as someone who is trustworthy, likable, and competent. The picture that you see behind her, that's where you communicate your other interests. She loves, I guess, sunflowers, right? If you're into surfing, this is where you put your surfing picture, your skateboarding picture. This is where you put your company picture. This is where you put the picture of your dog and your family. The picture behind the face tells a greater story, but the face is all about likable, trustworthy, competent. Many people, if you look at their profiles on Google+ and LinkedIn, they have not yet altered the bigger picture. They use the default picture. When you go to these people's profiles, you'll see a sort of a greenish, dark greenish background with little circles, out of focus circles. That's the default picture that is always there. And if you want to tell people and illustrate to people that you are clueless about social media, that is the single best way. It's basically, in San Francisco, when someone says, I'm going to Frisco, that's basically saying you're clueless. You're not a local. Because nobody in the Bay Area calls San Francisco Frisco, okay? If you want to go to Frisco, you say the city. This is the same kind of thing. I'll give you a high-tech example. I've met many people over the years who said, yeah, I was close friends with Steve Jobs. Steve's name is Steve Jobs. It rhymes with Robs, okay? And so, how much credibility would you have if you said, I'm a close friend and big fan of Steve Jobs? You're clueless. So, try to hide your cluelessness. Change that picture. Below that, you see a little storyline. I can't get used to this being. There's a little storyline. There's a tagline that explains in a little sentence, who is Peggy? So I want you to put yourself in the mind of someone who's looking for online dates, okay? So in online dating, there are two extremes. There is eHarmony. With eHarmony, you fill out 29 fields of personal information because for crying out loud, you're going to find your soulmate. This is the man or the woman that you're going to spend the rest of your life with. You're going to hold hands. You're going to walk on windswept beaches. You're going to complete each other's sentences. You're going to be totally, completely loyal for the rest of your life. That's the purpose of eHarmony. So to find that soulmate, you need to fill out 29 fields of psychographic information, right? This is a whole deep, penetrating, kumbaya online dating experience, okay? That's eHarmony. The other extreme of eHarmony is what? Hot or not, right? So when you go to hot or not, there's the person's picture. And you decide in less than a second, that person is hot or not. It's nothing about shared values, sensibilities, open to adoption, open to long walks on the beach versus long walks on the mountain. It's nothing about psychographics. You're either hot or not, okay? In social media, your profile is hot or not. It is not about telling your life story with 29 psychographic fields of information. People are going to look at your avatar, they're going to look at your album photo, and they're going to decide worth following or not worth following in about 1 second. Make a great profile. Step number 4. It is hard enough to generate content. It's almost impossible to keep generating content. I, as a blogger, former blogger, can tell you how hard it is. But instead, there is a great value in curating content. So all this great content is out there. It's as much value to find the great content and show it to people as it is to create it. And so now there is a place in the world for great curation so that you establish yourself as a person who really understands the sector that you're in. So if you want to portray yourself as a sector expert in social media, find great social media content. If you are a mystery and thriller writer, find great stories about new kinds of DNA analysis. If you are a foodie and you want to portray your restaurant as a great place to eat food, find great articles about food. Curate and link. This is a screenshot from a website called Alltop. I'm a co-founder of this company, and what we do is we aggregate RSS feeds by topic. So there's one for travel, one for food, one for adoption, one for hockey, one for zoology. There's LGBT.alltop. We have 1,000 topics. So this is a way to find great links all the time, and I'm going to show you this in my demo. Number 5 is cheat. Cheat. One way to cheat in social media is to go and see what's trending on Twitter, what's hot on Google+, and what's hot on Facebook. Go and see what's hot and then post the same story. In this case, yesterday, this was hot on Google+. You're a Cornhusker? So the point of this story is that ESPN showed this little video. This is when the spring scrimmage of the University of Nebraska, and they let a 7-year-old kid who had brain cancer run one play, and they let this kid score a, 69-yard touchdown. Okay, so I went to Google Plus to look at what's hot. This was one of the things that Google Plus had selected as a most popular video. So now I knew this video would be popular, so then I posted the video also. This is a way to cheat. That the system is telling you this is an interesting video. Lots of people have found this to be interesting, so don't be proud. If the system is telling you that this is a hot video, post it like you found it. Okay? Cheat. Number 6. Honestly, I use social media as a means to an end. It is not an end in itself. And the end I am trying to get to is to have a very powerful marketing platform. Now, many social media experts hate when I say this because they think that social media is about being social. It is about meeting new people. It is about establishing new relationships. It is about friends and acquaintances. And I am 58 years old. I am happily married. I have 4 children. They are 7, 11, 17, and 19. Quite frankly, I don't want any more people in my life. Okay? I arguably have more people than I can handle already. So I'm not trying to find more people. I'm not trying to get more friends. I'm not trying to get more popular. I just want you to follow me. Just follow me. See the content that I'm creating. I don't want to be your friend. Now, when I say this, social media people go freaking crazy. They're saying, Guy, but it's about social. It's about making friends. It's about being warm and open and transparent. I am being transparent. I'm telling you exactly what I feel, right? One of the dangers of transparency is if you want people to be transparent, you have to be prepared to not like what you see. Not everybody should walk around naked, right? So what I'm telling you is that one attitude towards social media, it doesn't have to be yours, but one attitude towards using social media for a business end is you want to have a lot of followers, you want to earn those followers, and then you want to self-promote 1 out of 20 times. So, for example, let's say that you are in charge of social media for Virgin America. Okay? As the social media person for Virgin America, you cannot constantly be tweeting out, posting, updating. We have a new route. This is a new special fare. This is a new whatever. It cannot be about Virgin America all the time. It should be about Virgin America 1 out of 20 times. The other 19 times are, that Virgin America flies from San Francisco to Las Vegas. So let's say that you're in charge of social media for Virgin America, and you see that there's a special King Tut exhibit at the Bellagio. Right? Has nothing to do with Virgin America. But you tweet out a story that says there's a great exhibit of King Tut artifacts at the Bellagio. You link to the Wired magazine article. You link to the Las Vegas Journal article about it. Because as Virgin America, you want people to be excited about Las Vegas. And if you get enough people excited about Las Vegas, then guess what? They're going to fly to Las Vegas. And when they fly to Las Vegas, they might fly on Virgin America. So what you have to do is earn the right to promote yourself. But in general, it's 1 out of 20. Okay, 1 out of 20. Number 7, for every post, absolutely every post you make, add a picture or a video. This is an example of a Google Plus post that I can't get used to this. I'm going to stand on this side. This is an example of a Google Plus post that I made where an NPR story was about how dogs, when their masters are not at home, they go and they counter surf and grab food, which is a very funny story. If you're a dog owner, you know that this happens a lot. And so I thought this was a very cute story, but what makes it a really great story is this picture. Right? So this is a picture of a sheepdog crawling on top of the counter, getting something to eat. That picture is about 500 pixels wide. I think that every post you make should have a picture like that because you're competing with such eye candy. You're competing with ESPN having this great video of a 7-year-old brain cancer victim running for a 69-yard touchdown at the University of Nebraska spring football scrimmage. Okay? So you cannot have a pure text message. Imagine if this post was only the top half, no picture. How many people would read that? But when you see that picture, you're sucked into it. And the key is you have to add bling. Every post should have a picture or a video embedded. Number 8 is you need to respond to comments to your post. So if you post something as silly as, this was my breakfast at Motorola, it's been about 16 years since I worked for a large company that had such a thing as a corporate cafeteria. So one day I decided I'll just take a picture of the pancakes and fruit and cappuccino that I got at the Motorola cafeteria. And then I got 70 comments about this picture, and 4 times I had to respond when people were asking me, so are you in Libertyville, Illinois, Motorola, or are you in Sunnyvale, Motorola? And so I had to respond to this. But the key here is that for even the simplest questions, you need to respond. Otherwise, you look like you're just pushing. You need to push, and you also need to respond. This is the biggest responsibility of social media. And this is hand-to-hand combat. There's no secret ways, there's no magical algorithms and robotic ways to do this. This is hand-to-hand combat, but this is how you win hearts on social media. You need to respond. Number 9. Number 9 is a rule that I often violate myself. I keep reminding myself. So in your posts, and in your comments, and in your responses to comments, my advice is you either are positive or you shut up. When you get into arguments, when you start saying negative things about people, when you say Android sucks, or you say Apple fanboys suck, or you say Steve Jobs sucked, all he did was copy other stuff, or you say anything like that, you get into these just, shall I say, urinating matches that just degrade. Now, you may think that you are responding, you are engaging in all that, but I'll tell you that it's not so much the people that you're having this battle with, it's the other lurkers who are not commenting, who are judging you by what you do. You're not trying to bludgeon your way to success. So I have a rule that's called the amateur boxing rule of social media. My rule is, in amateur boxing, there are 3 rounds. Okay, that's it. 3-round fight. Social media should be the same way. You post something. Somebody posts a comment. So you post something, round 1. Somebody posts a comment, round 2. You respond to that comment, round 3. That person goes round 4, responds to your response. Now, round 5. You want to respond to the response. You want to show that person how stupid he is, how wrong he is. You're going to drill them. You're going to prove to the whole world how wrong that person is. Don't go to the 5th round. Don't go to the 4th round. By then, you're down 30 comments. Nobody's tracking the tit for tat except you and the other person. And so you may be tempted in the 7th round of this professional boxing match to say, you are a stupid asshole, okay? And you think, boy, I really got him now. I just called him out, right? The problem is there are hundreds of people reading the comments, and they're going to see you call someone a stupid asshole. And they're not going to read the other 5 comments that went before. They're just going to say, wow, he is a very profane and mean-spirited person. I should not follow him. There is very little upside in going beyond 3 rounds. Again, mea culpa. I often violate this myself. In fact, Mary Beth will attest to the fact that earlier today, someone attacked me, and luckily Mary Beth was there, and she restrained me because I was about to go to the 5th round. And, that's why she's a marketing professor. Stay positive, stay silent, don't go beyond 3 rounds. Number 10, Number 10 is also something that many social media experts completely disagree with me, which is I think you should repeat your posts. The reason why you should repeat your posts is that not everybody who your post is relevant to will be at the computer when you post it. And I don't think you should flatter yourself so much to think that people are going to scroll back over 8 hours of tweets and Facebook updates and Google Plus posts to find your jewel, right? This would be like CNN saying, well, we're going to run that story at 8 a.m. Pacific because everybody who's interested in that story will either be on CNN at 8 a.m. Pacific or they will have TiVoed CNN, so when they come home at 6 p.m. Pacific, they will go to their TiVo and look at their TiVo recording of CNN for the past 8 hours. Like, who in this room TiVos CNN? Nobody. Who in this room scrolls back over 8 hours to look at a tweet or an update or a post that's 8 hours old? Nobody. Someday, if you have nothing better to do, watch CNN, and you will see that over the span of 3 or 4 hours, the same story runs over and over again. Not updates to the same story, literally the same video. Watch ESPN. You'll see the top 20 hits and saves and all this kind of stuff over and over again. Listen to NPR. NPR, if you listen to NPR, you will hear Fresh Air come on the same day 2 or 3 times. Identical story. If you listen to XM NPR, and NPR local station, you'll hear the same story. Sometimes you'll listen to NPR, and Terry Gross will be interviewing someone from 2009 running that again. All right? So if NPR can do it, and CNN can do it, and ESPN can do it, you can do it. I also will tell you that my tweets are repeated 4 times every 8 hours. Okay? So, to put it mildly, I'm at several standard deviations of willing to risk controversy on social media. Literally, my tweets go out 4 times, 8 hours apart. And I will tell you, the first one gets 600 clicks. The second one gets 600 clicks. The third one gets 600 clicks. And the fourth one gets 600 clicks. So, I didn't go to a school as good as UCSD, but I can tell you, 2,400 clicks is better than 600 clicks, okay? You don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. And the way you get 2,400 clicks is you send it out 4 times. If I had seen that the first time I get 600 clicks, the second time I get 150 clicks, the third time I get 25 clicks, the fourth time I get 5 clicks, I would not have this recommendation. But I'm telling you, it doesn't decay. It's roughly the same time. Now, if you do this, you will get complaints. There will be 0.1% of your followers who will complain. My logic here is, if you are not getting any complaints about how you use social media, you are not pushing hard enough. If Mother Teresa had a Twitter account, 1% of her followers would be complaining. They would be saying, "You're not Catholic enough." Or they would be saying, "Why does the church not support birth control?" Or they would be saying, "During World War II, the Catholic Church hid Nazi treasures." There would be some complaint to Mother Teresa. You are not Mother Teresa. I'm not Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa would have this experience. I'm telling you, don't sweat the complaints. If you get hundreds and hundreds of complaints, okay. But if you get a few people complaining, there are people who will complain about anything on social media. Many of them do it on purpose. They're called trolls. Don't let those trolls influence what you do on social media, okay? You're going to have to just turn the other cheek and keep going. So those are 10 very quick tips about social media. And now I'm going to do a demo and show you tools that I use for Google+. These tools can be used for any social media platform. Maybe I'll take some questions right now. So I'll take some questions and then I'll dive into the demo. So anybody have some questions about these concepts? Yes?
Yeah, you left Instagram off and you talk about being visual.
Yes.
Your 5
I have never. What would be the P word for Instagram? Yeah. I honestly don't use Instagram because I like to have more involvement than simply posting a picture and then putting some special effect on it. I think that is great for just sort of a flat. To me, Instagram is like Twitter with pictures. It's not that engaging, doesn't lead to great discussions. So I don't use it very much at all. But it is a very powerful network, don't get me wrong, okay? Yeah, a couple more and then I'll dive into the demo. Yes?
What about Flickr and YouTube?
Flickr and YouTube, the way I would use YouTube is embedded into social media, right? So like I said, add bling. Bling can be a picture or bling can be video. Flickr, well, Flickr, the core of my existence is Google+, and they have a very good album there, so I've never had to use Flickr for the album. I also can embed pictures in Google+ directly, so I have a Flickr account, I very seldom use it. If you want to get to photographers in particular, and only photographers, and you only want to discuss pictures, then you could use Flickr as a social media platform. But I'm broader than that, or less specialized. Okay, one last question,
And I love the repeat suggestion. My question is, are there services out there that allow me to do that and add the bling at the same time?
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand your question.
I love the last suggestion
Yep.
about repeating. My question is, are there any services out there that let me schedule those repeats and add the bling at the same time?
In my case, we have a custom piece of software that does it 4 times every 8 hours. I know of services that can schedule things, but not repeat things. So this may take some manual effort. I will tell you, though, that the Twitter test Twitter doesn't like you to repeat your tweets. Okay? So if you post an absolutely identical tweet, it will catch it and not let you post it. However, let's just say if you use a slightly different link URL, it's no longer a repeat. So that's at least what I do. Okay? Okay, so now I'm going to dive in. Lots of you use Google+, so I think this should be fairly comfortable for you. But I will show you all the tips and tricks that I have on Google+. Whoa. And maybe I can improve your use of Google+. So, this is Chrome, and I use Chrome for my access to Google+. I happen to like Chrome because of its speed and also its extensions. Some things before I dive into demo. So this is my avatar over here. My avatar is my face. I am asymmetric. I'm not in the middle. I'm not staring directly at it. With Google+, you have 2 options. You can either have 5 different pictures here, or you can have one cover that is one long picture. So with Peggy, you saw the one long picture of the sunflower field, right? In my case, I have continued to use the 5-picture theory. So these are 5 pictures that I can swap in and out. And the reason why I have 5 pictures is because I want to show social proof of the acceptance of my book, Ape. So these are 5 different people who are wearing the Ape t-shirt. And every few weeks, I swap these pictures out because when people come to my profile, I want them to think, my God, everybody is reading Ape. I should read Ape too. That's my wishful thinking. I'm not sure it works, but there's the rationale behind what I'm doing, okay? So a moment of true confession here. So when you really try to push social media, I think the biggest challenge you'll find is, how do I constantly curate the good stuff? How do I find good stuff all the time? So let me show you what I do. So number 1, true confessions, I actually sleep next to a Nexus 7 tablet. Okay, so, and I don't sleep very well a lot, so I wake up a few times during the night, and I can't show you the screen of my Nexus 7, so this is the mobile version of my site, Alltop. And one of the features of Alltop is that you can customize and select feeds. We have 30,000 feeds in Alltop, but you can select the ones you use and create a custom magazine page, if you will. It's sort of like Flipboard without pictures. Okay, so Flipboard has made a very conscious, how many of you use Flipboard in here? So Flipboard has made a very conscious decision to make a beautiful magazine with pictures. We've made a very conscious decision to only put the headline of the text because we want to allow you to scan hundreds of stories that quickly. And you cannot do that if you take up a lot of real estate with pictures. So what we do is we enable you so that if you put your mouse over something, it will highlight that, and then it can show the first paragraph of the story. So now you have to, this is the mindset. So it's 3 a.m., I'm in bed, I wake up and I say, well, let's just see what's happening on the internet right now, okay? So I get this open and I say, Syria in ruins. That sounds like a very, well, should I show you something that's NSFW? How many vote yes? How many vote no? How many don't know what NSFW means? NSFW means if I click on this link, it's going to show you nudity. Okay, so how many want to see nudity? Okay, so the tweets are going out right now, right? So how about my host? Do you mind showing nudity? Yeah, but it's your association. It is educational purpose. And no, but this, honestly, I think it is a statement about liberation and power and independence of women. It is not simply nudity. How's that? So, yeah, okay, so that's true. So it's 3 a.m., it's my Nexus 7, and I say, Femin stages a topless jihad. Well, topless jihad is not two words you usually see close to each other, right? So I say, wow, what could that be about? So I click on this story, and oh my God, it is a story about this women's group who protests, like, see this cop, he is not unhappy, okay? This cop is thinking, wow, this is my greatest fantasy. So these are women who have chosen to make a political statement using nudity. Tell me when you want me to stop. Okay, so I must admit, this pushes the edge. Okay, so now this would be something. So let's just say that I don't want to push it too far because I wanted to be invited back here for TEDx UCSD. So let's eliminate. Let's go back to my Alltop and say, well, that was too much. But let's say that here's a story about Syria. So you're really into politics. So you go to Syria. Now, mind you, the NSFW topless women I just showed you, that was the Atlantic magazine, okay? That wasn't Playboy or Penthouse. So that was a political statement. So we go to Syria in ruins. And so you look at this and you say, wow, who knew that this is what's happening to Syria? Okay, so I say this is a very interesting story. I would like to make millions of people aware of what's going on in Syria. So I will take this picture. I'm doing a Command-Shift-3 on my keyboard. This invokes a product called Snaps Pro X. And what it does, it's a screen capture program. I'm going to select selection, and I'm going to take a screen capture of this picture here, which I think personifies this photo essay. I will name this thing Syria. And I need to scroll down here and capture the name of the photographer. So it's Reuters, and it's this guy named Khalil Ashawi. Okay, so now I copy his name. I also copy the link. Okay, so now Oh, I lost the scenario here. Okay, back up for a second. Got it, like, the nudity threw me off here. So, go back to the scenario. Next is 3 a.m. I find this interesting article. But at 3 a.m., I'm not going to get up. I'm not going to write the thing. I'm not going to post it. I just need to remember this is a good thing to post tomorrow morning. So I use something called Shareaholic, or I use something called the Chrome browser on Android or iOS, and I select Google+. And Google+ now has these things called communities. And so what I've done is I've created a community of only one person. It's only me in this community, okay? So now I share to this community this post about Syria, okay? I go back to sleep. 5 hours later, I wake up and I say, okay, so now I need to post something to Google+. So I go to Google+, and I go to this community called Post, where there's only one member, me. I go to the Post community and I say, that's right. At 3 a.m., I found this great photo essay about Syria in ruins. So this is a system for me to use to peg something to go check it later when I'm at a keyboard and when I'm fully conscious and capable of generating a good post. Okay, so now I go to that. So now it's 8 a.m. and I say, I want to post this now. So I say, photo essay of the civil war in Syria. And I need to post the link, which is this Atlantic link. I need to give a photo credit. The photo credit is to Reuters. Now, you see this picture that was brought in? This picture was automatically sucked in by Google+. It found this link, it went to the page, and it found this tiny little picture, right? I don't think this picture does justice to the article that I want to post. So I throw this away. And instead, I manually go and get that screenshot that I took called Syria. And I post it there. And it sucks it in, and I share. So what you just saw me do is compose a post, brought in the link, gave a photo credit, put in the screen capture. And so now this just went to 4.1 million of my closest friends. And now I want to show you some subtle points here. So you may not have noticed, but I copied several things in a row and then pasted several things in a row. Most of the time you cannot do that. You copy, paste, right? But I have this tool called Jump Cut. And what Jump Cut does is enables you to have a multiple level clipboard. So these are all the things that I copied through the day. So when I'm at the source, I copy the link, I copy the photo credit. If there's a really complex spelling of a place in Syria, I would copy that spelling. Then when I go to the post, I can post the link, I can post the credit, I can post the complex spelling of, Mark Kornbluth, so I don't have to retype his name. So this is a little utility called Jump Cut. It is a multiple level clipboard that is extremely useful for doing what I just did. Okay, so this is what I do. So one way is to use My Alltop. I was showing you the mobile version of My Alltop. The desktop version of My Alltop looks like this. So this is for when you're on a computer as opposed to when you're on a tablet or a phone. Notice it's 3 columns now, not 1 column. Another source that you can use is My Alltop is customized. We also have about 1,000 topics. So for example, this is travel.alltop. So going back to the Virgin America scenario where you're in charge of social media for Virgin America, now you're at travel.alltop and you're trying to look for some interesting story about some city that Virgin America flies to. So Virgin America does fly to LA. So the LA Times travel blog has a very interesting story with yoga music mashup on the beach. Okay? So you look at that, you say, that's kind of an interesting story. So maybe people who love yoga, thinking of going to LA, will find this to be an interesting story. So this time, I sort of repeat the process. I don't want to be pedantic, but just to show you what I would do, I invoke Snap. I take the picture. I name it. All right. I grab the link here. In this case, the photographer is Kelsey Tucker. So notice I just copied two things. Her name. And now go to Google Plus, and I type in a little bit of text, yoga, music, mashup in LA. I go over here to Jump Cut. I post the LA Times link. The LA Times link, once again, brings in this lousy little picture that no one can tell what it is, so I throw that picture away. I go and grab my picture that I took manually, yoga here. It installs the picture for me. Hello. We'll let it do that. I also give the photo credit. Notice I don't have to go back to the source. I go to Jump Cut. I give Kelsey Tucker the credit. If you look at this a little, we really don't need this question mark track RSS, just a little cleaner link, and I post. So now, if I was Virgin America, I'm telling all my fans from Virgin America, this is a very cool yoga music mashup in LA. Maybe you want to fly to LA. When you fly to LA on Virgin America, try this. So now imagine if you're a restaurant. So at a restaurant, you go to food.alltop, and let's say you're a gourmet restaurant, and so you're trying to get followers so that when you post out, Wednesday is ladies' night free. Thursday is free beer. Friday is seafood. Something like that. So you want to promote. But you can't promote every night because people aren't going to follow you just for promotion. So you need to appeal to foodies, right? You need to find interesting links for foodies. So you go to a site like food.alltop and you find an interesting story about food. Let's say that you find a story about eating flowers at the Amateur Gourmet. So you would go through the same process. You found this interesting picture about eating flowers, you post it. So now people follow you, not because you're promoting your restaurant, but because you find interesting stories about food. So whatever industry you're in, I dare say you can do something like this. Travel, food, social media, whatever it is. I mean, even B2B, if you're in the construction business, there's stories about construction. So I'm going to show you several sources. I've been showing you Alltop for one. There are other sources like SmartBrief. So SmartBrief is a website, and this is a company that finds great content for associations. And so let's say you are in the construction business and you want to have a social media presence. So you would go to SmartBrief social media and you would find, the people who follow me might find a story about the Panama Canal getting expansion for $5.25 billion. That's an interesting story for people in the construction business. Imagine what it would be like to have a $5.25 million contract to do the new locks at the Panama Canal. So you would click through, you would find the story, you'd read this story. Now it's taking you to the actual full article, although it says free registration. So it's going to stop me at a page. Oh, no, it doesn't. Okay. So now you found this very interesting story about the Panama Canal. You would tweet it out, you would Google Plus it out, you would Facebook it out. Again, positioning yourself as an expert in construction so that one day when you want to promote your construction firm, you already have followers. So the crux of social media is to use sources like this. There's also, I'll show you one more source. So TED Talks. This is the YouTube channel for TED, and it provides extremely interesting video. You could embed almost every one of those videos, and people will share them. You want people to share what you post so that new people will find out about you, so they will follow you, and you get more followers. Okay, so that's how you find more stuff. I will show you some tools to use. I showed you Jump Cut. Snap Snaps Pro is the thing that I was using to take screenshots. The beauty of this is that you can name the snapshot. You saw me name things yoga and Syria, those kinds of things. Also, Snaps Pro allows you to put a frame around the picture if you want. So there's some high-end features of taking screenshots. Another tool is Buffer. And what Buffer does that is really lovely is that it enables you to schedule your social media updates according to the time of day for Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So the scenario here is you found something interesting at 10 p.m. at night. You know that most of your audience is asleep at 10 p.m. at night. So you don't want to post it at 10 p.m. at night. You'd rather post it the next morning at 8. But you have a meeting at 8, so you don't want to wake up and then have to write the post. So what you do is you create the post in Buffer, and you tell Buffer that I want to post only at 6 a.m., 8 a.m., 12 p.m., 4 p.m., and 7 p.m. So you're adding posts to the buffer. Nothing happens all night. When the clock turns to 6 a.m., the oldest post goes out. When the clock goes to 8 a.m., the next oldest post goes out. So you're creating a pool of posts to go out according to the buffer schedule that you sent. This is very, very useful. One tactical tip for you is that I have found that I should never post after 10 p.m. because after 10 p.m., that's when Southeast Asia is awake. And when Southeast Asia is awake, that's when you're going to get a lot of stupid spam in your comments. Not to be racist, but I'm telling you, when Southeast Asia is awake, you're going to get a lot of spam, a lot of one-word comments like, hi, LOL, WTF. And it's all going to be from Southeast Asian-looking names. Again, not racist, statement of fact. So one way of avoiding this is to post when Southeast Asia is asleep. So Buffer is a way to do that. Now, you might wish that you could post Google Plus this way, but Google Plus does not work with Buffer because Google Plus does not have the proper APIs to work with Buffer. But there is a way around that. So let me go find an interesting story. So science weighs in on the sensitive subject of penis size. You're seeing a trend here. A moment of silence for the passing. Annette Funicello died? Oh, how sad. So let's go view this Annette Funicello YouTube video. Okay, so you click on share here. You grab this, and I will use something called Do Share. And what Do Share does is it enables you to create Google Plus posts that you can schedule for the future. So I will paste in that thing, and I just say Annette passed away today. You can edit after the fact too. So let's just say that's the whole post, and now I will schedule this. I don't want to post it tonight. Let's say tonight is too late already, so I will select it for posting tomorrow at 6:08 a.m. and click here. So tomorrow it will be posted in the morning. So this is a way to use Buffer to schedule LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook for the future, and Do Share to schedule Google Plus for the future. The caveat with Do Share is that you have to have your computer running and Google Chrome running. It has to be on. It's not like you put it in the cloud for running later. It's local on your machine. So if this machine is off, that will not happen at 6:08 in the morning. So let me show you more tools like that. I'm going to show you all the Chrome extensions that I love. So Chrome extension number 1 is Buffer. So Buffer is, now you have a Buffer icon, and you can use the Buffer icon to schedule Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn posts into the future. You don't have to go to the Buffer site and construct it there. It grabs this page that you're on and lets you schedule it from there. So Buffer is a very, very useful Chrome extension. You can also, excuse me, I did the wrong thing. You can also use DoShare. DoShare is the thing that allows you to schedule Google Plus in advance. All right? Another good Chrome extension is Nuke Comments. Nuke Comments is a very useful product. What Nuke Comments allows you to do is in one click, it allows you to delete the comment, report the person, and block the person. So he can no longer comment on your feed. That is the trifecta of getting rid of pains in the ass, okay? So I'll show you how it's used. So we'll just nuke somebody here. So let's say I go to my Google Plus, and we'll find some victim. Let's say if somebody says, let's just look for somebody stupid here. So the government said to give up your guns, whom to trust them, whom you can say. Okay, so I look at this and I say, you know, what does this have to do with the American Indian photo essay? Absolutely nothing. So this is like Wayne Lapierre's son-in-law or something, and he wants to talk about NRA issues, but it's totally inappropriate. Very little patience for trolls like this. So I am going to nuke this boy, Donald Cassidy. So now I click on that little nuke, and I have just blocked him, deleted his message, and reported him to Google for violating terms of service. That is a beautiful thing. That is a beautiful, beautiful thing. So, just so you know, God, one of you is this guy, but just so you know, my attitude on social media is that my post is my intellectual property, okay? So I think of my post as if it's my swimming pool. I have posted my swimming pool and invited you to swim in my pool. If I see you come swimming in my pool and you pee in my pool, I am going to throw you out of the pool and never let you in the pool again, okay? Because I don't want other people to read this kind of comment and say, wow, I don't want to come to Guy's pool anymore because it's full of urine in the water, okay? So that's why I have this like one strike rule, and I get rid of people who I think post inappropriately. So that is this great thing called nuke comments. Okay, so I'll show you another thing. So on Google Plus, when you plus mention a person, that person gets a Gmail saying Guy Kawasaki has responded to you. And that is very useful because if you're busy, you need to know when people have responded to you. So getting notification is very useful. So let's say that, so Karen Somerville, the stories that these images share are truly amazing and inspiring. Thank you for the share. So let's say I wanted to thank Karen Somerville for that piece of positive karma, okay? So what I would have to do is I would have to go here and type in plus Karen and select her. Now that to me is a lot of trouble. Like what if her spelling was Karyn and I've already forgotten? Or what if her name, she's a non-Western keyboard character set person. I can't even type her name in to plus mention it. So rather than do that, if you use this Chrome extension called Replies and More, if I wanted to reply to Karen Somerville, you see this word reply? I just click on that and boom, she's plus mentioned. That is a very, very useful thing. Also, if you wanted to respond to the author of this, so I want to tell Guy Kawasaki what a magnificent post this is, right? I would have to go down here and type plus Guy Kawasaki, select him, and go 3 steps. That is too tiresome. So instead, with reply to, I can just click on reply to author, and boom, it automatically creates a plus Guy Kawasaki. So this is an extension called Replies and More for Google+. If you use Google+, you absolutely must install Replies and More, okay? So that is a much better way to do replying. And finally, I'll show you Shareaholic. What Shareaholic does is it enables you from a Chrome window. Let's say that I'll go find an interesting story again. Let's say that, chocolate gets a healthy, fruity makeover. That is a good story. I can tell you that already. Okay, so let's say that I wanted to post this to Google+, but I don't want to go through the steps of copying this and pasting it in Google+. Well, I can just use Shareaholic. And Shareaholic will say, where do you want to share this? And I say Google+. And now it will automatically draft this story. It is bringing in the picture. You know, I don't like to do this, but I'll do this for one thing. So just for this news for people who love chocolate, right? And I click here. And so now, if you go to my Google+, you'll see that it has already been posted. So this is when you're on a page and you want to share that page immediately to Google+, rather than copying and pasting, you can just use Shareaholic. So that is another tool to make your life better on Google+. The final section of this demo is community. So community is a very powerful way to build a following on Google+. It enables you to create a body of people who share a passion with you. So I have two communities that I have. One is the APE community for people who are interested in self-publishing. So we have about 2,140 members. This is a private community, so you cannot just join. You have to request membership because we're trying to keep spammers out of this. I also have another community. This community is called Mobile Devices. I did this for Motorola. So this is a community that is public, so anybody can join. And you see here, very good, this is a message from Google Plus that says, we looked at Tony's post, and it looks like spam. Is this spam or not? Should I remove this? Should I remove, report, and ban? Or is it not improper, and it is okay to post? And the topic of this, his thing is Google Talk, Facebook Messenger, Yahoo Messenger, ICQ. If when Google Babel goes live, I'm saying goodbye to all of those. So I tend to err on the side of being too lenient, and I would say that's close enough about a mobile device. I will make it visible, and now anybody else can see this. So what you would do here is you would create a community, let's say a community of food lovers, coffee lovers, tea lovers, people who love yoga, people who love to visit LA. And you would foster this community, again, trying to create good content so that someday you may want to promote your product or your service to this community. I create the APE community in which people discuss how to publish books all the time, so that when I want to promote a special on APE or a new edition of APE or a new book that I wrote, I can promote it here to this community that I created. So the gist of it is, you should always be finding great content. You should be posting it as actively as you can. You want to provide content that is so good that people share the content to others so that you get more well-known, so you get more followers, and then the Google Plus or Facebook or Twitter or whatever you're using gets to be more and more of a powerful platform. I'll leave you with one last or I'll end with one last metaphor. And the metaphor is NPR. So I love NPR. NPR is Wait, Don't Tell Me. NPR is Tech Nation, Fresh Air. I love NPR. NPR provides great content 365 days a year. A few days a year, it runs the telethon, right? It runs a telethon that says, you know, if you call and donate up to $10 in the next 15 minutes, our friends at Qualcomm is doing a $1,000 matching grant. So if you donate $10, Qualcomm will match your $10, so it'll be $20. And you'll call in now. If you're the first 100 people, you'll get the Eton hand crank, radio, so that in the event of a nuclear attack and you don't have electricity, you can crank the radio to find out when you're going to die, okay? So now, who among us really wants the Eton radio? Who among us likes to hear the telethon? Not any of us, right? We don't really want the telethon. But why do we tolerate the telethon? It's because 365 days a year, NPR provides such enchanting content for us. So we feel like we should tolerate the telethon. If you have a good soul, you will even give money during the telethon, right? So we don't begrudge NPR for running the telethon because it's always providing good content. So you need to think like NPR. 19 times out of 20 provide great content. If you're a restaurant, great new article about a new kind of coffee grinder system. Great article about 50 places you need to eat before you die. Great article explaining the kind of coffee that the meerkats eat and poop out and how this is such great coffee. It's $600 a cup. Great story about how Ethiopian coffee now in Starbucks is fair trade coffee. So you tweet out all this kind of stuff 19 out of 20 times. And the 20th time you say, it is Free Beer Friday at our restaurant. Click here for a coupon. You have earned the right to promote your restaurant by providing great content 19 out of 20 times. That's the model. Keep in mind, you want to be like NPR. And that is how to get more followers on social media. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So now, I'm leaving? No, I'm going to ask for questions. Well, how long will it take to get to the airport? How long? Okay, so let's say half an hour. My plane is at 9:20. So if I left here at 8 o'clock? 8 o'clock is good? Does San Diego airport have clear? The clear, you use a badge and you cut the line? No. Does it have, for business class, you cut the line? I'm business class. Okay. So, 8 o'clock. So, yes.
Could you talk a little bit about focus? And what I mean by that is mobile enablers subsets of Guy Kawasaki.
Yes.
And so maybe if you could just talk about how you decide when to go narrow versus when you're going public.
In terms of my activities?
Yeah, in terms of your posting and whatnot. Yeah.
I was saying that it's a very simple question. So basically he's asking, if Guy Kawasaki is a Motorola advisor, shouldn't you just be posting about mobile, right? But if Guy Kawasaki is a self-published author, shouldn't you be publishing about writing? And if Guy Kawasaki is someone who explains how to enchant people, shouldn't you be talking about psychology? And each one of those, though they're not necessarily conflicting, they are not necessarily the same. So when do I post about what? And the answer to that question is that I'm very peripatetic. I just post sort of at random whatever I think is interesting. And the reason why I can get away with this is because I have 6 million followers. So no matter what I post, somebody will find it interesting. So I'm not trying to position myself as an expert in food. I'm not trying to position myself as an expert in social media. I'm not trying to position myself as an expert in self-publishing. I'm trying to position myself as kind of a expert and interesting person in general. So it's because I've been doing this so long and I'm so old, and so I can kind of get away with stuff that a younger, earlier person in their career could not get away with. I freely admit that. If I were Roy of Roy's Restaurants, my post would be about food. Not necessarily Roy's food, but food. And I will say, though, that just to sort of conflict what I just said, if you are posting as a person and you want to show that you're not just about food, that you're not a single dimension person and you only discuss food and your restaurant, if Roy Yamaguchi once in a while posted about his passion for soccer, if I were a Roy Yamaguchi fan, you know who Roy Yamaguchi is, first of all? Okay, so if I were a Roy Yamaguchi fan and I loved his fusion Hawaiian food stuff, and he's posting about food and posting about food and posting about his restaurant, and then he posts a YouTube video about soccer, or if Roy Yamaguchi posted the YouTube video about the University of Nebraska letting the 7-year-old brain cancer kid play in the scrimmage, that would make him rise higher in my book, because it shows that Roy is not just about food and restaurants. He also has other interests, like 7-year-old brain cancer survivor, or soccer, or he posts a picture about, these are my pictures when I went to Guatemala to adopt a child. Nothing about food, but it shows a piece of his soul. I would make the case that when you do something like that, it humanizes you and it makes you even stronger as a social media figure. Okay? So that's why sometimes you'll see really strange stuff from me that has nothing to do with anything. I'm trying to, bare my soul a little bit.
Guy, we have a question upstairs.
Oh, yeah. Where?
Over here in the cheap seats.
Okay.
Thank you. Long-time follower, first-time question. You had made comments about the inclusion of video and pictures.
Yes.
To improve the perception and the
Yes.
acceptance of the content. I was wondering if you could speak to the difference in the engagement levels, because what we tend to see is a much higher engagement level in a photo and lesser engagements in video. And my follow-up question is, if that is true, is it because people are inherently lazy and it's easy just to get in and out on a picture and video is a little more of a commitment, or are you not seeing the same thing?
Well, I think it's a matter of taste that, the stories, the links that I curate, simply a picture is not good enough. Right, so with that dog one, if I just had the picture, it would be an interesting picture. It might have qualified for What's Hot. But really, the deeper story is that NPR wrote an article that, some university did a study about dogs when they know their owner is out of the house, what dogs do. So there is science behind that picture. And so if I just posted the picture, it would be a funny, interesting picture if you're a dog owner, but there is actually real science behind that. Some universities studied what dogs do when their owners aren't at home. So, but this is sort of related to the Instagram question, which is Instagram is just a picture, right? Pinterest is mostly just a picture. So there's a place for that. It's just not what I choose to do. Okay. Same thing with video. Video. Well, I'll show you a video that I posted this morning. And I think this is an example of a video that can stand alone. Most videos, I would say, can stand alone if you pick good video. So this is a video here. Well, this is another good video. So this is a really funny video. So this guy is this German guy, and he makes so, can we get back to, yeah. I just got through telling you how much I love your building. Okay, so this guy, he's a very funny guy. So a couple weeks ago, he made a gun that you load up with Oreo cookies, and you fire the rubber band gun, and as the cookie flies out, it splits the cookie in the middle, separates the cream from the wafers, and fires it out, okay? So that was very interesting. Well, now he has a video. He read that Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is giving $100,000 to people who improve the design of condoms. And one aspect of the improved design of condoms is how you put the condom on. So he made this gun to put condoms on. You're looking like I'm nuts. Hey, Husker. Yeah. So So I say this is a video that you really don't have to put much text to explain. This is another one. So this guy, his name is Michael Markman, and he was the producer of Apple's keynotes when Steve was there and Gil Amelio and Michael Spindler was there. So he was the guy who was calling the shots. He was the guy who's coaching all the CEOs of Apple how to make great keynotes, right? And so what he did is he gave a behind-the-scenes story of how Gil Amelio introduced Steve Jobs at the 1997 Macworld Expo, and all the mistakes that were being made, and how he went off script, and he ignored the teleprompter, and he did all these things. And there's a lot of really valuable lessons. If you ever have, a CXO level person making a speech, and the CXO level, has been rehearsed, has a teleprompter, has everything going, but the CXO thinks that he's so great or she's so great, gets on stage and just starts winging it and totally blows it, right? This is a video that explains what can happen when that occurs. So this is another video that, my introduction was very short, right? So best, maybe only behind-the-scenes video about Apple keynotes you'll ever see. CXOs and their handlers should all watch this. 2 sentence, 3 sentence, that's all it really needs, because the video is really self-explanatory. I don't believe that is true of most pictures. Yes?
I don't know whether you can hear me. A lot of tech entrepreneurs say, I don't have time for any of this.
Yeah.
What do you recommend we use other than a Bataka? A lot of entrepreneurs who are high techies say, I just don't have time for any of this.
Yeah.
Even though you've given them the set of instructions, what is the key thing we can say to them that says you've
Well,
got to do this?
I would say that when I hear a tech entrepreneur saying, I don't have time to build a marketing platform for my company using social media, I hear an entrepreneur saying, I don't have time for marketing. And so that means that you are an engineer who thinks that you're going to build a better mousetrap and the world is going to be the path to your door, which is most of the time wrong. And so, this is not about social media. This is marketing. So, okay, so if you don't have time to do this, so tell me, you have enough money to run a Super Bowl commercial? You're going to buy advertising in the Wall Street Journal? Like, how are you going to reach these people with the $1 million of seed funding that you have? So you don't have time for social media. You only have $1 million in seed capital. What am I missing? What are you going to do to get the word out? Because the only way that I see that an entrepreneur with limited amount of capital to get the word out is social media. And the only way to get the word out with social media is to build a platform in advance. And the only way to build a platform in advance is to establish your company or yourself as an expert in the sector that you're in. And so this arguably is a lesson on how to do marketing with no money, because everything I showed you here today costs nothing, right? So the social media sites are free. Well, actually, the screenshot utility is $30. So let me think of if I bought anything else. Everything here is free. And you really don't even need to use Snap's the screenshot. You can just do Command-Shift-3 and drag it out yourself. So you don't even need to spend $30. So, this is marketing. It's hard. I'm having an out-of-body experience here. So essentially the entrepreneur is saying, I don't have time to do marketing. Well, what the hell else do you do? In a startup, you only need 3 people. You need someone who can make something, you need someone who can sell it, and you need someone to collect the money. That's it. That's the 3 roles, okay? So if you're the engineer, you better make it, and you need someone to sell it. Sell it is using social media, and then you need an adult to collect the money. That's the only 3 roles in a startup. So which one are you? Yes.
Speak about advertising on your site, how you choose, do you filter it to like
Yes.
a
So
good FM station, or do you let it happen like
okay,
Pandora?
I will show you. I will show you Alltop, because that's obviously the site that I have. So this is All Top Travel. And at All Top Travel, we have this banner ad up here. That's by Audi. We have this internet marketing by Full Sail University. And for some reason, there is no banner loading here. So we are using AdSense and various ad selling services. I'll be the first to admit that I am not sure how to monetize All Top traffic. The theory is that at travel.alltop, guess what most people would be interested in? Travel. So that should yield a higher CPM for an airline or a hotel. Because by definition, if you're going to travel by .alltop, you have self-selected yourself as interested in travel, right? So theoretically, I should be able to get, $10 CPM instead of 50-cent CPM. And if you went to autos.alltop, by definition, if you're interested in autos, then, you should have a car ad here. Why we have Universal Technical Institute and internet marketing from, I love Full Sail University, I guess, and GoToMeeting. So some of this is just AdSense filling out stuff. But the theory behind Alltop is we can have really directed advertising because by definition, someone who goes to autos.alltop is looking for a car, so we should run car ads. Someone who goes to food.alltop, we should run food ads. So that's the theory, but I'll be the first to admit I don't know how to monetize this traffic.
Guy,
But
we
that's
have
the
another
theory.
question upstairs.
Yes.
Do I need to stand up or- Okay. My question is about LinkedIn. I have a group on LinkedIn, and I find that there's many limitations of LinkedIn. So in general, my question, I don't know why there's an echo, but in general, my question is, am I missing something? Let me give you a little bit more detail quickly. The limitations of LinkedIn, I can't use video, I can't use images. I have no idea if anybody's even reading any of the content that I'm posting. So I end up posting content, and the group functions as a social network. So the direct question is, am I missing something?
No.
Can I use any of these other tools
Yeah.
in the
Okay.
context of LinkedIn?
First of all, I'm not your psychiatrist, but LinkedIn, you're right, is not as advanced as other things compared to like Google Communities or Facebook groups. But the power of LinkedIn is that it's arguably the purest, most highly selective population of people. So I guess the acid test for me would be on LinkedIn is, are you getting comments in that group? And if you're getting a lot of comments, I would stick with it. That would be the test for me in that group. I think LinkedIn is a very powerful network because you are pretty serious. If you think about it, the quality of comments and interaction on LinkedIn, if you assume people are smart, should be of the highest magnitude, right? Because when you're on LinkedIn, as I say, you are pimping, right? So you would have to be really stupid to go on LinkedIn and leave a racist, misogynist, homophobic, whatever kind of comment. You'd have to be really stupid because, okay, in Facebook, you're expected to be stupid. And, Google Plus, maybe you're expected to be stupid. And Twitter has so much action, you won't even be noticed if you're stupid. But in LinkedIn, if you say something homophobic, misogynist, whatever, that's where serious business people who have uploaded their resume, if I were HR recruiter, and I looked at someone's LinkedIn profile, and I looked at the comments that person left, and if that person was just a nutcase, I would wipe them off right there. So you would think at LinkedIn that would be the highest quality stuff, which would lead me to believe that, depending on what your community is about, you should stick with it, even though you may not be able to post video and pictures. Okay?
Okay, we have a question to your right. Over here.
Yes.
Back here, I'm sorry. After you, ladies first.
Oh, thank you.
Oh.
Hi, I have a question because you were talking about marketing and social media, and there's so many applications that are coming out daily, and you know we're trying to self-promote ourselves and use them. But how do you know when you are really using too much social media and you know like saturating with
Do you
your
understand what
image?
she's saying? I must admit, I could not understand what you asked.
Yes, I mean, because we have Instagram, we have Tumblr, we have Facebook, Twitter, and there's people that are trying to promote themselves through all of them, but they feel like maybe they have to keep up with the applications and keep opening up accounts to self-promote themselves. So how do you know when you are too much out there, when you are saturating
You understand
people
what she's
with your image? I don't know if you can understand.
Oh, so, you know, I have a really bad right ear, which is the problem.
Oh.
It's not you. So it's like when you get 58 years old, you start degrading. So the question, as you summarize it, is how do you know when you're using social media too much and pushing yourself out too
Yes,
much?
like you're promoting yourself too much.
Well,
Because
Consider-
sometimes people are...
first of all,
Yeah.
consider who you're asking the question of. Okay, so I will tell you that if you look at my Twitter feed, which is, you know, that's a life-changing experience if you follow me on Twitter, because I probably tweet out 25 to 50 times a day, because as I said, it's repeated, right? So it's 4 times every 8 hours, and I have a bunch of people tweeting on my behalf. So Twitter for me is usually not me. It's contributors and ghosts. Google Plus is only me. So on Twitter, which is my extreme, multiple people tweeting out, and those tweets are repeated 4 times 8 hours apart. My rationale is as long as it's high quality curation, people won't mind. And so if you look at my Twitter feed, I am very proud of my Twitter feed because I and my contributors, we find really great stuff. And maybe I'm just wishful thinking, but I think that as long as it would, to put it in somewhat reality distortion perspective,
Okay, upstairs.
could Apple come out with too many great products? I mean, so I'm just trying to, I don't hold myself back. I just want to find great stuff. And I am very upfront that, you know, I'm using contributors and stuff in Twitter. I'm very upfront that I tweet a lot. I'm very upfront that, you know, if you follow me, it is a fire hose. But it is not a fire hose of crap. It is a fire hose of good stuff. And it's like a lot of times, you know, if this 1% of the people who are upset with me, if they say, well, Guy, you know, why are you repeating your tweets? My response is, if you notice that I repeated my tweets every 8 hours, you don't have a life. Because how is it that you could notice in all of Twitter that I have repeated my tweets? So either you don't have a life or you're not following enough people, right? And so this is like, you know, if somebody complains that CNN repeats the stories, you'd have to tell the person, well, maybe you're watching CNN too long every day, or maybe you should spend $20 a month and get cable so you can get other stations. It might not be CNN's fault. So that's kind of my perspective. I just think you cannot put out too much good stuff. But there's a big caveat there, right? I'm saying good stuff, not crap. Okay?
Another question here about embedding video into posts.
Where are you?
Here.
Oh.
So, you know, in some of the lessons that you taught today, there's some things that I have already seen and heard before. However, coming from you, I find it much more engaging because of the manner in which you present the information, and that's what drew me here today, to see you. And I find that when I create posts for my brand and my company, that if I actually create the video myself and make a short, brief video about the content that I'm making a blurb about, I think the interaction goes up exponentially and that my audience much prefers it coming from me because I'm attaching a human and a
Yes.
persona to my brand.
Yes.
Do you ever do that? Can you speak to that?
Do I ever create videos and stuff?
Short, brief videos that have to do with the content that you're posting.
No, I never post video of myself because I don't think I look good in video. Video is not my medium. So I don't do that. I completely agree with you that if it was a personality, at an extreme, George Takei, William Shatner, a 5-second thing from William Shatner is worth watching, right? I mean, just whatever. Him just saying Priceline, I would watch a video of that, right? So I believe that that's true of personalities. I just don't consider myself a personality like that. And I'll show you something that I do that nobody else does. I do a bunch of things nobody else does, and I'm not saying that it's right. But this is an example. So do we have this? Okay, so this is something that I did. I'm just coming from social media marketing world in San Diego at the Marriott. And so lots of people take pictures with me. So what I did is for the past 2 days, whenever anybody took a picture of me, I took a picture of them taking a picture of me. So you'll see, this is everybody taking a picture of me. And it's really kind of interesting. Like you notice, look how many iPhones there are. And, it's mostly women taking pictures of me. And one of the beauties of this is that now I got everybody at that show looking for their picture of me taking their picture. So this is me trying to be funny. I mean, I don't think you've ever experienced where someone posts pictures of people taking pictures of him. So I thought I would, break new ground here in photographic essays. So I love doing this. And you know what? This just brings joy to my heart because every one of these pictures, people are so happy. They're really happy. They're really smiling. It just warms my heart to do this. So that's as close as I come to generating content like that. Okay?
This
Can
is
we get
actually
up here?
along the similar lines. Oh, actually, you're first. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Back up here in the cheap seats, and in the spirit of marketing, thank you for the permissions. Kevin Popovich from Idea House with a follow-up question. Regards to LinkedIn versus Google+.
Yeah.
Okay, so agree with the statement that there is not, it's an unfair advantage as far as functionality and what you can do in one environment over another. But there's also a lot of criticism that everybody's on LinkedIn and there's not everybody on Google+. So you have a great room to have a party, but nobody's there. Everybody's hanging out in the kitchen. So how, from a strategy standpoint, do you wrestle with that?
Okay, so first of all, are you sure about what you said? So you're saying everybody's on LinkedIn, but nobody's on Google+? Because I could make that case about Facebook versus Google+, but I don't think that LinkedIn has nearly as many people as Google+.
I guess let me clarify that for business purposes.
Okay.
Let's refine the universe a bit.
Okay.
For business purposes.
Okay, so listen, I mean, if LinkedIn has more of your people, stay there, but I would sort of make the case that Google+, depending on who you believe and how they count, they say they have 500 million people. Facebook says they have 1 billion. I think that LinkedIn says they have about 200 million. Now, it might be 200 million of the kind of pimping that you want to do, so that's perfect for you. God bless you. But I don't know. I like Google+ for the aesthetics. I like Google+ because I can put in pictures and albums and video. And so I would make the case that, yes, to use your party analogy with the 3 services we just discussed, so the Facebook party, you go to that party, it's people you went to high school with, people you went to college with, people you are related to. So you know everybody at that party. You have a good time. I grant you. You go to the Google+ party, you don't know anybody there, okay? Your friends aren't there, your relatives aren't there, but there are 500 million interesting people, okay? So now you go to that party, you say, I didn't know anybody there. What a bummer of a party. I would retort to you that you went to a party with 500 million hot people and you couldn't have a good time. Maybe it's more about you than Google+. And so with LinkedIn, I would say that's kind of in the middle, where LinkedIn, you say, has the better people. So go to the LinkedIn party. I mean, I'm not trying to force you to go to the Google+ party. So hallelujah. I mean, if LinkedIn is a more target-rich environment, go there. Yeah, absolutely. You should go where they are. Okay?
All right, we've got a question in the back too. Stand, please.
Hello. Hi,
Yes.
I'm Melody with National University and with my marketing company, Marketing Melody.
Where are you?
Oh, stand up. Okay. So I had a comment on the Google Plus and then I had a question. And
Okay.
I think the challenge with Google Plus is that so many people have it and are on it because everyone who has a Gmail account automatically has Google Plus.
Yeah.
But that doesn't automatically mean that they're actually using it. So
Yes.
how do you determine if your actual audience is using it or they just have the Gmail account?
You know, I mean, if you know a handful of people that you really want to see if they're using it, just go see when their most recent post was. I mean, that's the only way. You know, but Google Plus, I have to tell you, you know, if Google Plus was from two guys in a garage with $1 million in seed funding, we might not be having this conversation. But Google Plus is, for crying out loud, it's from Google. This is not the 800-pound gorilla. This is the 8,000-pound gorilla, right? And so now what you do in Google Plus influences SEO results. So the more you post in Google Plus, the more likely you're going to appear in that first page of search results. And so Google Plus is linked to local, and Google Plus, you know, if somebody said to you, I have this new service, with one sign-on, you get video, social media, search, analytics, and email, and it has 500 million people, we would all say, wow, what is this great service? I need to join. I think that's the way you need to look at it. And so if you want to find out if those people are in particular are there, I think the only way is to look at their profile and to see if they posted recently. But I will tell you that if you actually plus mention those people in a post, if they use Gmail, they will get a Gmail that said, you know, Jane Doe just mentioned you in a post. Here's a click on this link to go see it. That is pretty seductive. That is pretty interactive. And you know, I showed you the Chrome extension replies and more to make that more automated. I think it's worth a shot, and it is particularly worth a shot because it is Google, and Google is going to make it a success or die trying.
Okay, Guy, last question.
Yeah, I just want to ask
Do you
this.
recommend the use of promoted posts on Facebook?
Question of what?
Do you recommend the use of promoted posts on Facebook?
Oh, do I? I have never used the promoted post, and it's because I think it's a matter of pride, maybe hubris, that I refuse to believe that my posts are not so interesting that I have to pay people to look at it. And so the test for me is I can post something so compelling that people will read it even if it's not promoted. And one of the irritation points that I have with Facebook is apparently, because you never know what's actual, apparently Facebook has this thing called EdgeRank. So with EdgeRank, if 100 people have voluntarily opted in to see your Facebook stuff, Facebook decides which 15 or 20 actually can see it. So even though 100 said, I want to see everything Guy does, only 15 or 20 will be able to see it. I find that absolutely bizarre. These people have opted in to see what I post, and you're telling me that they cannot see it unless they've liked it, commented, somehow interacted to prove that they're really interested in you. And so I find that totally bizarre. So now on Google+, if 100 people have circled me, 100 people can see it. They may be asleep when I post, they may be off the computer, so they did not see it, but they could see it. It wasn't hidden from them. So now you come in with this attitude, and now all of a sudden, but Facebook says, but wait, there's more. So if the people with our magical EdgeRank formula cannot see your posts, but if you pay us, then we will let them see your posts. That's when I begin to have this out-of-body experience where they say, so you're telling me that these people volunteered to see everything I post, but you're making them not see the post, but if I pay you, they can see the post. Like, what am I missing here? Something is wrong with this equation. I can't stand that about Facebook. Now, what? I gotta go? So I gotta go. So that's my attitude about promoted posts, all right? So thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.